time is running out. Well, what do you mean, Damon? We just got started. No. Well, yes, we did, but that's not the way it works. Time is running out. And if we're going to codify these things into law so they cannot be undone as easily as they were done by executive order, they can be undone by executive order. And we have a midterms that I know it feels like we just went through the election, and we did. But 44 days all of a sudden becomes 100 days, becomes halfway through 2025, and now we're thinking about midterms. Sean Spicer has a piece in the Washington Times today exactly to this point. It's not about the Department of Education, but about the border. Time is running out for Congress to cement Trump's border security gains. Less than 2 years before the next congressional season begins. Trump talked about this last night. Another win, the numbers. He talked about a lot of what he's done by executive order in 43 days, more than most administrations get done in 4 years, 8 years. He talked about all of that. If the Republicans don't codify it, though, what does it really mean? It's like the spending. If we're going to raise it, I saw somebody, I think it was John Solomon today, had a piece out and said, Republicans are coming up with a 2-part plan. And I said, yeah, part 1, raise, part 2, spend. That's it. Because as I told you yesterday, right now, the Republicans have the federal spending levels at $5.5 trillion for 25 and $5.6 trillion for 26. If you remember when we went through the last CR, they told us that CR was so we could get onto Trump time, remember?
Right, yes.
Got to get this CR because we don't want to do this before he takes office. This gets us into Trump time. He's in office, and then it's all, then we're serious about it. And here they are talking about another clean CR. They're talking about another clean CR. Because now we need more time to kick it down the road.
Oh, boy.
I hear, and again, I don't spend every living moment, on these things. Have many people heard discussions about 12 separate spending bills being bantered around like they're supposed to do? Nope. I know Trump last night talked about balancing the budget. It's a good clap line. Everybody claps. Sounds good. Yeah. I mean, it's somewhat laughable given what we've seen from both parties and the Republicans as well. Meaning they've had just as much hand in the spending as, maybe not as much, but they haven't been great on it, as we know. Where are the 12 separate spending bills? As Thomas Massey said today, by the way, because of the last CR, one of the agreements that they actually got was that if the CRs continue through April 1st, there was supposed to be an automatic, I think, 1% cut across the board in all spending. I saw Thomas Massey tweet something today that House Speaker Johnson is trying to get around that and not follow that law. Or whatever you call it, whether it's law, I guess it's law.
They're junkies, dude. They're junkies. They can't stop.
So to Sean Spicer's opinion piece here, and he happens to just focus on the border, but you could apply this to everything. He says Trump's border crossings and illegal migrant gotaways have fallen precipitously since Trump's inauguration, down more than 90% from the same month in 2024. Tom Homan reported last week in one stretch, the U.S. Border Control encountered just 229 migrants in a 24-hour stretch across the entire southwestern border, down from a high of sometimes 11,000 a day. They encountered 229. 11,000 a day it was under President Biden at some points. Call it the Trump effect, reads a recent White House press release celebrating the record decline. Although the crackdown at the border is a big win for Trump and the voters who elected him with a mandate to stop the flow of illegal migrants, real change requires more than executive actions. For the Trump effect to become a lasting policy, Congress must act now to capitalize on Republican momentum and codify stronger immigration enforcement measures into law. And you could take those two sentences and just take out law enforcement and border and pop in any other subject matter that he's dealt with by executive orders, and it stays the same. Now is the time to codify these things into law. All we hear about is the tax cuts. Not that they're not important. But in the end, the tax cuts, as we know, the Democrats give them what? The ability to go out and say, you're blowing a hole in the deficit like you guys have always done, to give your rich friends a tax break. Meanwhile, most of us can't buy eggs. You haven't lowered prices. You're spending worse than we are. You're spending worse than you did the first time. So the Republicans have got to get on the ball here